Welcome everyone to the Consciouscape podcast. My name is Simon and I'm here with someone that has been making strides in terms of her own business, of her branding, of her professionalism. And I think she's doing so well. Her name is Gratiela Petti, and she's a self-love coach and hypnotherapist. And I think you studied at a Marisa Peer Academy or something. That's what I read, Gratiela.
Yes, exactly. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Yes, indeed. So I studied with Marisa Peer, the famous, and I love her. And I learned so many things from her. And I think that her method, rapid transformational therapy, it's so powerful just because it's her work for more than 30 years, and I think that I'm blessed to have studied that, because now I can share it with the world. I can spread the word and how quickly it works. So I'm so happy that I studied with her.
I did a course of hers as well on, I don't know if you know the Mind Valley. It's a platform where many people or many coaches post the course, and it's not expensive, the membership. So I did a course with Marisa Peer. It's called Uncompromised Life. That's her first course, and her second course she has on Mind Valley is called Rapid Transformational Therapy. And so the first course I did it, and one of the most important things, like she has some very good key points for me. And one thing was delaying gratification, and I really took that upon me and integrated that into my life. And the other thing is just saying you are enough. Like she said, like for her, those are like the most basic 3 words that you can use to kind of change. Do you also use those words in your own therapy?
Definitely, this is a part of it's an important part of my therapy. And even more than that, I use those words every single day for myself, and they are so powerful. They are transformative because one, they are positive words, right, that we say to ourselves. And second, it just embodies that we don't have to work for things. We don't have to search, maybe from outside some validation to actually understand that we are enough, right? So when we say this to ourselves, it's very, very powerful, because we give this, we fulfill our need of being enough, right? Just by saying it. And our mind believes it. So yes, I use this approach in my therapy because it's very, very important. It's an important tool for everyone to understand that the way that we speak to ourselves, right, actually creates our reality. And by saying to ourselves, you are enough, this creates a positive and more acceptable environment, right, for ourselves.
She says, Marisa Peer says that saying you're enough is like, or not being enough rather, is like the root cause of so much suffering for so many people, that we have learned to think that we're not enough. And that just saying those words can create such a huge impact in anyone's life. Do you also have it written on your mirror, on your bathroom mirror?
Yes.
Yes.
I had it.
Me too.
I had it.
Okay.
That was an important process for me, and an important technique, that I used when I started my healing, because Marisa Peer was very important for me when I started my journey to heal myself and, to accept myself and to love myself. So I used to have that on my wall, and not only in the bathroom, but also in the living room. Let me see. Well, I still have it on there.
Yeah.
Let me see. I still have it now. It's just there.
Uh-huh.
There is this small picture, but then there is this A4 paper, and it says "I am enough." And my son wrote it,
Uh-huh.
And actually, also here in front of my computer, I have it
Hmm.
also. I am enough, and
Hmm.
definitely not in the bathroom anymore because I took it out, but around the house still some pieces of I'm enough, also because this helps my son. My son sometimes comes here and uses this computer, and not mine, his, right, because we have two both here, and because it's just above his own computer, he can read it. And for me, it's very important that he can have it visually, and then that sinks into his mind. So yes, I don't have it in the bathroom, but still around the house, I have it, because I think that it's very important not only to preach, but to use the technique on myself. And because I know that it worked on myself, and it's continually working, right? I apply it every single time in my in my program when I work with my clients.
Okay, so first of all, that's great. That's awesome. And I do believe, yes, just a few words can have such a great impact. But also, I also was having it in front of me, on top of my laptop or above my laptop, those words. Um, but in Swiss German, it's called Du bist genug.
Yes,
That's
look,
very good. That's very good.
yes, I
Yeah.
have it. It's very
Yeah.
important. Yes, it's very important.
So one thing that happens when you say those words, I want to speak about the kind of the impact in my body, the effect it has in my body. I don't know if you can relate. When I say I am enough and I repeat it and it sinks into me, it's like my nervous system, it's like, it's like sometimes a little bit anxious, a little bit, it's like, how can I say it? It's like the energy is here, but it starts to like sink down. It goes down into the body, like the nervous system. Sometimes the energy goes down and you can like, all of a sudden you're more relaxed when you say those words as well. Like you feel like you're more grounded. Do you also feel that when you say those words?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what happens and why I feel it? It's because my mind kind of goes into relaxation and understanding that I don't have to uh, put my energy into proving that I'm enough, because that is a waste of energy, right? If I think that I'm not enough, then I have to prove it, right? And not only to myself, but to others as well around me, right? And if I want to prove it, then I have to do some action. And when I do some action, right, then I move my body, my mind goes in so many directions, and I have so many thoughts, and that actually consumes my energy, and I'm like rushing, and I am almost in survival mode, right? Because I really want to prove and to get that attention and to demonstrate that I'm enough, right, to my environment. But when I say it to myself, my mind actually accepts it, and then I calm myself down, right? My energy, like you said, I can ground myself, because then it means for me that I can stop, I can stop this action outside me of proving I am already enough, right? I am enough. I don't have to do something else, to prove to someone, right?
Mhm.
So they can see me as enough because I know I'm enough. And that's why it calms me down. It's like, it brings me back to, okay, now remember who you are, right? So I have more words that I say to myself, right, in my mind. Remember who you are enough, and then calms me down. Of course, could be in different situations if I'm stressed, right, or I'm anxious, because even if we have this technique, right, we are humans and we can be anxious in different situations, right, even if we have this technique. But then when we go back to say these words into our mind, right, this is so powerful, right? These words are transformative indeed. We kind of go back to, we go back home. I feel that I go back home to who I am, to my essence, you know, and it calms me down. It calms me down and I feel so relaxed because I stopped the doing, you know, I stopped to do something that it takes so much of my energy.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting what you say with essence. It resonates with me when you say I get back or I go back to my essence, because that's what we are in essence. We are enough in essence, right? We are more than enough. So I think one thing I want to touch on is just how sometimes this can actually happen, that we don't feel enough. And I just let me rewind a little bit to my own life as well, because it has a lot. It may have a lot to do with your first chakra, but I would just want to give my own example. When I was little, your first chakra, like in the first year of your life, it programs. And what happens is sometimes when you maybe don't feel wanted or you feel unsafe as a baby, or even when you're in the womb of your mother and you feel like this energy from her, you feel it as a baby, as an embryon, that maybe even though she wants you, she's still insecure, she still has doubts, maybe she's scared of something. And I know that my mother was scared, because she was because of certain reasons that I don't want to get into. So what I feel is that I am not very grounded because of that. And also, like we say with the words I am enough, it's like you have to kind of prove yourself instead of just being, right? You have to do. And I do feel that very much in me. I still feel that that is a big part of me. And I feel that this energy, like instead of having a grounded energy, I often get into my head, I get into this headspace and my energy goes up. And what happens is many people, they're not grounded, but they're very smart, they're very intelligent, they're very artistic, they're very good in many different things in terms of skills. But in a way, they just can't let down. They just can't like relax sometimes, or not sometimes. Maybe they can relax sometimes, but they can't stay relaxed, right? They like have to go back into that working mode to show that they are worthy, that they have to justify sometimes their existence. So I feel that with myself, in my own story. I think it's a first chakra thing. Do you also feel something similar in your own life? Did you also have somewhat of the same experience?
Well, my life experience that made me think that I'm not enough is a little bit different, because I think I grew up with this idea because I didn't live with my parents, you know, my entire childhood. I was left with my grandparents, and I missed my mom so much and my parents, and they were divorced, you know, when we were small, me and my siblings. And because I missed that, I missed her so much, somehow I thought in my mind that she's not there with me because I am not enough. I am not lovable enough, you know. So she could stay actually and spend time with me. But obviously I didn't understood her reasons, no, at the time, but I grew up with this idea. And that actually affected me in so many directions, and definitely with my relationships, right? Because I searched outside from people to actually give me that validation that I am enough. So I can be with them. I am worthy, you know, of being surrounding, and I'm worthy of love. So for me, being not enough, so having this belief, it's connected to I'm not lovable, you know, because we make in our mind when we grow up, right, different limiting beliefs, right, depending on our circumstances. So depending of how we grew up, right, and what was our environment, we kind of create in our mind more thoughts about ourselves, right? So for me, it was that I'm not enough and I'm not lovable just because I had the distance from my parents. Maybe for other people can be that even if they have their parents, you know, their parents work so much that they don't receive, you know, that affection and emotional support as children as much as they deserve, you know. And that could be also a reason for them to grow up with this idea that they are not enough. So they're not enough to get their parents' attention. So their parents prefer to work and to spend their time elsewhere and not with them, right? So growing up with the idea of not being enough can have different directions. But for me, definitely, it was connected to the physical distance.
Do you believe that like all the beliefs are essentially infused into us? It's not like we create them, because most of the beliefs we take upon ourselves, they are generated from until the age of 7. Like we're still in an alpha brainwave state. We're just learning, we're just soaking in, we're absorbing. So it's not really your fault, right? It's not really your responsibility. And I guess we just want to, our mind is made to interpret situations. We need to know what is going on. So that's why you just came to the conclusion that you're not enough. And that's what happens so often, I guess, because of behaviors from our parents, for example, or from our entourage, from other people outside of us, that we believe for some reason that they are doing something because of us. So we take it personal. And I guess it's still something that happens in adulthood, not only in childhood. Like there's so many miscommunications, there's so many misunderstandings just because the mind wants to come to conclusions. So you're talking about creating better relationships, you know, in your program.
If I can interrupt you for a second,
Yes.
please, Simon, I want to add something that caught my attention when you said that our mind creates, right, the limiting beliefs. Well, imagine a child sees the world through the eyes of their parents, right? So they don't have better examples than their parents, because a child relates so much to parents, right? They depend on parents, and the way that their parents perceive the world, it's how children perceive the world, right? So depending on parents' beliefs and the way that they see the world, this actually they pass to children, right? And because for the young souls, right, until the age of 7, everything that parents says or you know, they do, it's sacred because it's the law, let's say, right? They don't know something else, right? And that's why, because yes, they go to an environment where they play outside or nasi, right? But when they go home, everything that creates their environment, it's based on their parents' beliefs, right? And that is what they take in, And based on how the parents actually relate to children in certain situations, they create a meaning based on those situations. Their small mind, right, it gives an interpretation and a meaning usually associated with an emotion, right? With an emotion. And that's why we remember when we become adults, we remember certain memories so vivid, and they're so clear because those memories actually have attached an emotion, right? And that's why we carry. So from that emotion that gives a meaning to a situation, we create a belief about ourselves, right? And that's why it has so much power over our mind, because of the emotion that it's associated with it.
It's a traumatic experience being a human being. Like since you get out of the womb, you cry. It's probably very stressful, and so many things cause wounds in us and traumas. I believe you probably know how many different wounds and traumas we actually carry with us. It's probably many, and I think that it's our life's purpose to untangle those stories, right? And those wounds. I saw a Facebook post and you talked about pretty much children mimicking everything that parents do. And for example, parents sometimes sacrifice themselves for their children to kind of create a better life for their children. But it's a paradox because the children, they will do the same after that instead of taking charge of their own lives, right?
Exactly, yes. Yes. So many times parents do, and they have the best intentions, definitely, because every parent love, right, their children. And they have always the best intention, but because they don't know consciously that their behavior actually imprints, their child with the same behavior. They will carry the same behavior because we as children, we don't listen to their words, but more to their behavior, So how they behave, actually, it's taken on as an example by children, not necessarily what the parents say, right? You don't do this, for example. You don't have to, let's say, drink from the bottle directly, right? You have to put in a glass, right? But if they do it, if they take the bottle from the fridge and they drink water right from the bottle directly, then the child actually starts to behave in the same way, starts to take the bottle and drink it, right? So it's not what they say, but it's what they do.
Exactly. And that's why I'm a kindergarten teacher. That's why you need to show them what to do, not tell them, but rather mimic first, or just do it first do it first and then they will do it after. It's much easier for them to take in the information than instructions through words.
They want to, thank you. They want to maybe, they want to try something for the first time, right? And obviously it's something that they don't know. Maybe they are scared, right? If it's an activity that they want to do, or maybe they go in a park and there are some new things and they don't know, how to use them. If parents show them, if parents do them first, then the child actually understand that it's safe just because the parent did it first. And then they go for it, right? Because they don't understand the world around them, but through their parents.
Yeah, makes total sense. I want to get into beliefs. I want to ask you how. I don't want you to unveil and reveal your whole secrets, all of your secrets, but I want just to know, like, what would you think is the most fundamental thing when you want to clear beliefs?
It's a very good question. first we have to understand where it started and when we formed that belief about ourselves, because most of the time it's either related to a situation or a sequence of situations. So first it's having that understanding when we created and when our mind formed that belief about ourselves. And understanding it's so powerful. It's so powerful just because it liberates us. So we don't have the belief that that belief it's our identity, right? Because so many times, if we cannot do something, if we have a limiting belief, we take it on ourselves as we are, right? For example, if we cannot speak in public, right? If we cannot just express the words and we get tense and nervous and our hands shake, and sweat, we can think about ourselves that, we are stupid or we cannot speak. So we think that maybe that it's our identity, right? This is who we are. But if we go and understand that actually we cannot do that just because something happened, let's say with us in childhood, and made us believe that, we are stupid and we cannot speak, right? So we go back to what happened to us. And when we understand that it was because of an episode or more situations, that it's so freeing and liberating, because it creates, an understanding of in our mind that that is not our identity. That is the first step, right? And then it's a process that it needs to be applied to actually release our mind from that limiting belief, because it's a choice that we have to make. We need that limiting belief in our life, right? It's something that is good for us. How that helped us, in the past until the present moment. It's something that we really need. And if we choose consciously that we don't need that, then we release it. It's a process, right? And now, if that belief it's not there anymore, what is that you want to believe about yourself from now on, right? So let's say you don't have that negative belief that you cannot speak because you're maybe an idiot or a stupid, right? Just because you don't know the words, or you don't, because this is it. There are tough words, but actually so many times we say this to ourselves, right? And not only, let's say, about public speaking, but in so many other situations, we say so harsh words to ourselves, right? And we believe that that is us, that is our identity, right? But if we make a conscious choice that, that is not us, if we understand where it was created, we can also choose to install a new belief, more powerful and more beneficial for us, right? That it will help us in our life to have different results, so we can experience a different reality, right?
That's so good. Like that's like a 4-step process from what I gathered. First, it's like you become conscious, then you understand how this belief served you. I think that's such a good step, because it really does serve you. Even the limiting beliefs at some point, like all of the things that limited you and the things that created a mess of your life, can help you after that. Not only help yourself to kind of just like shoot up from this mess and grow, but also to help others, and then eliminate it, I guess, and fill this void with something new. So if I understood it correctly about, because if you take off the belief, but you don't fill it with something, is it possible that the belief comes back?
Yes, exactly. And just because that belief, it's so familiar, right? You had it for so long time, right? That your mind, goes always towards what is familiar. It's just a rule of our mind, right? We always go towards what is familiar. So
that's
if you
what
don't make
Marisa
something,
Peer says. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yes, that is one rule, right? One important rule of our mind. and what Marisa teaches us, right? That if we don't go towards a new familiar belief, if there is nothing to replace, we always go back to what is familiar, just because it's that comfort zone, right? Just because we feel so good, that is something that we know. And also in terms of relationships, that's why so many people have this type, that's my type, because they know that in the past they had that type of relationship, that type of person, right? Let's say even if they were like abusive, violent, but because they knew only that type, right? When the next person has some traits the same like the other one, the previous one, they always go towards that because that is so familiar. I know that type. I know that behavior. I know that, kind of even body shape sometimes, right? And they go towards that because there is nothing different that their mind is used to, right? So we have to fill that gap with another, even if it's unfamiliar, but there is a process to make it familiar, right?
Marisa Peer, she talks about making the familiar unfamiliar, and in reverse or inverted, it would be making the unfamiliar familiar. So how do you make the familiar unfamiliar? I want to know that.
Now you want to know all my secrets, right?
Yes, I want
course,
to know
of
all of your ingredients.
All of my ingredients. Well, it's about programming our mind, right? And imagine that we had a habit, because a limiting belief brings us to a habit, right? So how this works, if we think something about ourselves, right, we start to feel something in our body related to that thought, right? So we have a thought, a limiting belief, that it's a thought, and then we start to feel it in our body, and then we have an action, right? Let's say that if, for example, public speaking, right? I'm an idiot. I cannot speak up. I cannot stand up in front of someone, right? That thought creates a feeling inside my body that makes me anxious, nervous each time that I'm in front of people, right? So from my thought, I create a feeling, right? And then that goes into an action. Either I withdraw, or I just, if I'm in front of more people, just literally with my head, I look down. So I have some kind of action, right?
Mhm.
I have an
Yeah.
action. And this means that this thought actually created a habit in my life, right? A habit with certain sequences. Now, when we want to program our mind towards a different reality, we have to start to implement new thoughts, right? New thoughts that will create new feelings and then new actions. And all that will create new habits. Either it's a one or more, depending on our limiting belief, right? And how we do that? It's by repetition, right? In order for us and for our mind to be familiar with something, we have to do it repetitive way. We have to think something repetitive, and then obviously we will start to feel, and then we will start to act in the same way that we want, right? So it starts with the thought. So we have to think something that maybe it's unfamiliar. Exactly. We have to think more times, repetitive, that will actually create a new habit or new habits in our life, and then a new reality, right?
Yeah, it's like with, I don't know if you know Louise Hay. She was like the first person I was listening to and reading. And she always said, like you need to start balancing out. And this is not from Louise Hay. This is, I guess, from my thought. The negative or the thoughts that you don't want with the thoughts that you do want, because the thoughts that you don't want will still appear. They will still appear, but you need to make the good voice stronger, I guess, right? You need to say it more and more, and with time, do you think like diminish the negative voice, say, so that one thing takes over? Yeah, Marisa Peer, she talks about thinking, and she talks about the pictures in your mind. Like that's the starting point. Now, one thing that I find interesting in terms of beliefs, or what you said before, is I think we can actually create a distance between what we identify with that is negative, and it's like we can create this energetic distance, like a physical distance between what we identify with first, a belief, and we can try to distance this belief so that it doesn't feel like us anymore. It feels different. It doesn't feel like us. I have experienced this. I did a program for kind of changing your paradigm, kind of changing your reality, and I felt that it was so crazy. All of a sudden, a belief about myself felt so distant. But the thing is, it came back because I didn't fill it with something new. And so that's very interesting about the beliefs. So I want to know a little bit more about hypnotherapy. I just want to know, like, because in the program of Marisa Peer that I did, it was just about getting hypnotized and hearing like a 20-minute hypnosis affirmation meditation. Is that what you do as well?
Yes, but combined with my own approach, because based on my life experience, I've developed, my own unique way of approaching hypnosis. Because also when I use hypnosis for myself to heal, I experience different things. So yes, the process is like that you listen, right, and you program your mind towards what is necessary for you to install. Now, it's very, very specific to each individual, it's very specific, and you can only make that recording after the client has understood the meaning and actually when they created that limiting belief about themselves. Otherwise, it doesn't work. That's why your mind went back also towards that habit, and it didn't felt so distant, because also you didn't understood why you have it. You see, yeah. You didn't understood why you have it. You didn't understood the root cause. So in hypnosis, we go to understand the root cause of the limiting beliefs, right? Because that's so transformative, the root cause, why it's there, right? Why it's there. And after that, after we release it in hypnosis, right? We release it, and then we, even from the session, from the hypnosis session, right? We start to install the new belief, right? The new beneficial belief. But that belief, actually, the client comes with, right? Something that they find that it's beneficial for them. That's why this technique that Marisa created, rapid transformational therapy, it's so powerful, just because the client comes with their own empowering beliefs, we don't suggest, we don't help, because that will be something from exterior, from our point of view. But in hypnosis, the client comes with something that they know and their mind knows that they need, something that it's so beneficial. And after that, after the session, with everything that was discovered, and understood from the session, that recording holds, the positive of everything that was there, that will help to will help to empower and to install and to program, because it's about programming our mind towards a new habit and a new belief, right? The recording will program a new belief. And that's why it's important to have the repetition, right? The repetition, because listening repeated time for minimum 21 days, because that's the period of time when our mind learns a new habit, right? 21 days. So after 21 days, our mind becomes so familiar with this new belief, this new way of thinking, that actually we start to think that this is us, right? So for example, if someone will start to believe and to listen that they can speak in front of 1,000 people, you know, and the words, they just come out so easily, their body will be so relaxed, you know. If they listen these instructions in the recording for a number of days, when they will be in front of more people, you know, that will come automatically. It will just be like a habit. It will be so natural for them to do because they have it already in their mind. It's like uploading a new software, you know, in our mind.
Exactly. Yeah, because in 21 days, you start creating this new neural pathway. Everything is physical. It's physical. It's like your brain has these neural connections, and they can be very big, like big highways, or they can be very small. So that's like the embryonic state of a neural connection. So you have to keep giving it the same information for it to grow, right?
Exactly.
But the thing is, once they're highways, once they're big, you can't really shrink them much. You can only, so you have to, yeah, like you said, it takes about 3 weeks for this total neural connection to reestablish. And I think that's so powerful. You can really suggest this into your mind, and you can really believe it. When I hear Marisa Peer as well, for example, just it's really about getting away from your default mechanism, from this state of say being the kind of the victim, being the person that is reacting to everything, because that's the person we normally are. We are wired to survive, not necessarily to thrive. But to thrive, you need to like go above this. You need to go above this program that you have within you, because we're made to survive. We're still the same person we were 100,000 years ago. The human body hasn't changed. Survival is the most important thing. But now we have to like get one program above it, you know, so we can start thriving in this world. And thriving means that you get away from this victim mindset, and you start actually understanding, okay, you can go forward and forward by using the right information, by telling yourself the right things. I think that's so powerful. I want to know a little bit about self-love in general. I don't want to reveal all of your secrets, but I guess it's the same for self-love. Also, this auto-suggestion.
Definitely. And well, to reach the point where we can say that we love ourselves, that's a process of actually understanding and going through our limiting beliefs, you know, because our limiting beliefs are on the way of loving ourselves. Because we may think about ourselves so many things that make us always put others, you know, above us. We want to please people. We want to be accepted by them. We want to be part of groups, right? But when we start to work, you know, and actually put all the puzzles together, and we start to release all those limitations, we get to a point where we connect with our true essence. And what matters for us the most, it's for us to be happy and accept ourselves with who we are, you know, even with the most, you know, vulnerable parts, even with the most, let's say, darkest situations. If we accept ourselves fully, right, and we understand that we are good, every single one of us was born, you know, deserving love, attention, you know, and we are good people, right? There is no such thing as bad people, right? Only situations made them believe that that they are not, right? And when we go back to understand that we are good, we in our essence, we are good people, right? And we accept that, and this is the truth about ourselves, that we are good people, right? And we start to love who we are, then everything falls into place also with other people as well, you know? So it's always about going and releasing those limitations that we have in our life, then so we can allow ourselves just to be true and just to be, you know, authentic, because this is self-love. It's being okay with who you are, you know, and living from that place, you know, and sharing, and just not being afraid of showing, you know, who you are, because then you will not be afraid of being judged, right? To be judged, actually, that is a limitation, right? To be judged by other people, to take things personally, right? That's a limitation that we think about ourselves, right? That they are more important. And if we go back to the root cause, right, we actually understand why we have that, right? And then if we release it, then we actually accept ourselves for who we are. So it's always about releasing those things that don't serve us in order to be okay with who we are.
I think one question that is very powerful is this belief useful to me? Because there may be beliefs that you have that you don't want to like stamp them off as negative or positive, but just ask yourself, is this useful for me? I just think it's one thing I have struggled with the most in my life, in my whole life. I will tell you, my biggest struggle is believing that that the things I was thinking, that the things I would say, that was like correct in a way, or like believing that that the things I was thinking are incorrect, they're not right. And I think it has a lot to do with our education, our initial first years that we take on these beliefs. It happens a lot in school. I see it as well, that we're made wrong, you know, and we are not allowed to be fully ourselves because we have to adhere to this, sometimes to this strict mindset, sometimes even military mindset. And then we have to kind of unveil all of this when we become older and understand, okay, we can go back to our core, we can go back to our soul, and understand that we are totally okay and right, and we deserve everything, just being our authentic selves. I think
Absolutely.
it's important. I think almost all of us have to kind of make this journey back to ourselves. Do you also believe that?
Absolutely. It's necessary to have that journey, because that actually allows us to grow, you know, to grow as human being, because growth means learning, right? We are here and then we go there, right? And we grow. And for us to grow and evolve as human beings, because we are always evolving, even if we are conscious, even if we are aware or not, we are always evolving, right? But depending now in which direction, right? But in order for us to even have good relationships and healthy relationships, right? It's so important to have this journey from within to understand ourselves better, because only then we can go into a relationship, either romantic, with colleagues, you know, and with our children even, that allow us to be seen, allow us to be, you know, authentic and vulnerable. Yes.
Yes, one word that comes to mind: intimacy. If we're not authentic, we can't we can never have good intimacy. And intimacy is probably one of the most important pieces, I would say, or the most important maybe in a relationship, when you can totally be yourself and you can be seen and accepted, totally being yourself. If you just feel that, doesn't this feel good? Like right now I'm feeling good just thinking about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It feels so good because uh, it just takes all this pressure from yourself that you have to pretend to be someone else, you have to behave in a certain way, you have to maybe put this perfect mask, right, with people. And that actually takes a lot of energy, right? Because this is not who you are. It's something that you project, right, for people to see. But when you go back to who you are and when you feel good with who you are, then actually that feels so, so good, feels amazing, right? Because everything is easy. That's why it's so good, because everything is easy. You don't make effort, right, to actually be seen, accepted, loved. And everything starts with accepting yourself and loving yourself. If you cannot do that, and again, it goes to the journey that we it's so necessary for us to do, right? Because then we can accept ourselves, right? We accept our journey also. We accept who we were before and also where we are going. And then we are able to love ourselves, right? And what is love? Just being okay with every single part of you, right? And not only physical, and looking in the mirror and saying, okay, I have maybe this thing that I'm not so proud of, but still it's me. It's part of my unique, trait, and I love myself. I love that part of me. And then go into emotional state, right? Even when we don't have all the answers, when we don't know everything, when we don't just when we make mistakes, even if we accept ourselves just as we are, and we accept that we are humans and it's normal to make mistakes, it's normal to not know everything, right? It's normal to have maybe defects. Let's say defects is just our vulnerable parts, right? It's normal. That makes us human, and also that makes us unique, different, right? Because if we will be all the same, we will be only robots and the life will be boring, right? So if we accept ourselves so good with who we are, then we are able to have that intimacy with someone else, because it's okay for us to show us, to show and to allow ourselves to be seen. And that actually creates that intimacy, because if you're not scared to make mistakes, if you're not scared, to say that you're wrong, right? You don't have this fear of being judged, then what will happen, actually, you will discover that also the person in front of you, it's the same. They have fears, they have insecurities, right? And then that connects, right? That connects, because so many times if we project this perfect face, right? I'm like that, I don't allow this, we have so many rules, right? What we receive from the opposite side, it's the same thing, right? They have walls, they don't open up, they protect, they project themselves as being perfect, they know it all, right? And it's like two blocks of wall, right? There is no then it's nothing open, right? To go and interact.
Yeah, so many things come up or came up right now for me. Just ideas. First of all, of course, you need to have the bad times to appreciate more the good times. And there's two more things I want to say here. First, we humans are not alone. We are never alone. We all first are backed by the universe, and we have spirit guides. They actually exist. So when you are born, or before you are born, you are a spirit. and you are together with other spirits up in the spirit realm, and you decide, okay, so someone of us will go and will go into this body, and the other spirit guides that are left, they actually look over you your whole entire life, and they try to tell you, they try to give you messages, they try through your intuition and through signs and through synchronicities to talk to you, to message you, to give you support. I don't know if you believe that, first of all, but I want to say one more thing here. And I think about this dynamic of surrender, like surrendering to your true self, surrendering to your true nature, and pushing, like trying to become more so that you can be more confident in difficult situations, right? So it's like this dynamic that you have between surrendering feeds your self-esteem, but pushing, like trying to become more, feeds your self-confidence.
I think that in order for us to surrender, we have to be in touch with our intuition, right? With our true self. Now, some of us, we can call it differently, right? We can call it God. You call them spirits, right? I call it universe, or universal energy, right? Maybe other people call it Buddha. So there is the source, right? We are connected to the source because we are souls, right, from the universe. So we are connected to that source. Now, in order for us to surrender, we need to be in touch with the source, right? And the source is inside us. It's that voice that guides us, it's that intuition. It can be our heart, right? How we feel relating something on someone, right? That's our inner voice. And for us to surrender, we have to listen to that. And we are not able to listen to that if we are more in our head, right? We are more like having so many thoughts and ideas, and we trust more the head and not the heart or the soul. Now, when we surrender, I think that simply it's following that intuition 100%. So I think that for me, so many times if I'm not sure, about a decision, I just ask myself, like, truly, how do I feel? And that actually allows me to surrender because I feel it. I don't think it so much, right? And try to process it with my mind, because my mind, it's logical. But when I go into my body, how this makes me feel, how do I feel? I trust it, and then I surrender to that feeling, right? I surrender. And that actually gives me this peace of mind that either the result, because I was true to myself, I was true to my feelings, it will go good for me, right? In either direction that that will go, because I listen to myself and I listen to my inner guidance, right? And I think that for me, it's my source, right? It's my essence. Then it goes very good. Just because if I had that feeling, it was for something, it is for something, is there to guide me, right? So I trust it 100%, and that for me, it's surrounding. And that then leads me to act in a way that it's confident, just because I trust it 100%, right? And I don't have any doubts, did I do it okay, or should I have done this way or in that other way? Because if I listen to my body, right, I am confident in my action, just because I surrender to that feeling, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about the feeling that we have. And in order for us to be connected to that feeling, actually, we have to close and we have to stop the chatter and so many ideas that we have in our head, right? To stop them and connect with our body and with our feelings. And that's the source, either way we call it, you know, because we call it different ways.
Yeah, exactly. Source, universe, God, so many, there's in scientific term, it's quantum field. And you can just like, just breathe like 3 times. You will feel so much lighter, and you can take your decision much rather from your intuition. Like you said, the intuition is a feeling that you have, it's energy that feels calm. It feels grounded. It feels easy. It feels easy. Like if you have 2 decisions you want to take, first there is this one and then there's this one, go for the one that feels just calmer, that feels more grounded for you. It's often the thing with the intuition is it's often not, or many times not, the decision your mind wants to make. But if you trust your intuition, you go down, you will actually get faster towards your goals, or towards the goal that your soul has. And sometimes you will not get the outcome you want either, but the outcome is usually better for you to actually grow. And what happens is usually it's just like, it can be either of 2 things or results or outcomes that happen with any decision. But mostly with decisions from your intuition, it's either it's not exactly what you want, but it helps you grow, it helps you learn, or it's kind of the outcome that makes you happy, that really gives you joy. So it's a win-win. It's a total win-win situation. So I do have like a few more questions here that I'm very interested in. I want to know first, you're talking about having better relationships. But I want to know from you if you feel that sometimes it's good, or that it's good for any person to just be alone for months or years, maybe even, to understand themselves, to kind of get into themselves and meditate on what they really want subconsciously.
Yes, that's a very, very, very good question, because so many people think that it's okay to stay alone for as much time as possible to know themselves. But you see what happens, we can only grow and know ourselves in relation to other people, right?
Interesting.
Yes, absolutely, because then the way that we interact triggers us. And what is a trigger? It's a reaction, you know, that we have internally that make us react in certain way, right? And if we want to grow, right, we can put the awareness to that trigger. Why do I feel this, you know, in relation to this person? Why do I have this thought each time that, you know, I interact, or each time that this person says this to me, right? So it's okay also maybe to have a period of, let's say, grief if after a relationship, right? We really want to have this distance to just grieve and just to stay with our emotions. That is absolutely fine. But if we want actually to change our behavior, we can only do it in relations to others and with others, you know. So that time when we want to maybe stay with our emotions, it can be for short period of time, because if we make it too long, then that becomes a habit and we don't grow from there. Because if we don't go in relation with other people, then there are fears, right? There are wars, there are like there is protection, right? And even if we think, no, I want to grow so much, right? I want to know myself better, and we are alone for so long time, actually that it's only fear and protection to not be hurt, right? To not be hurt by other people and so on. But if we really want to grow, this is only in relations with others, either if it's only friends, if it's another romantic partner, right? Or if it's even with our children, we always grow interacting with others.
Okay, so I totally understand you. I totally understand you about relationships because, I mean, we're social people. So if we kind of isolate ourselves, we won't be able to grow in the social world. There's no way to do that. You can't just think about the situations by yourself. I totally understand that. It's the same,
apply it, right?
and not actually being there and applying it. Yeah, it's like it's the same thing. Like you grow from challenging work, for example, from a challenging job. You can't just think about the challenging job. You have to do it, and you have to be challenged, and you have to accept the challenge. I totally understand that, although I do believe that it's good to be alone sometimes with your thoughts. It does help you understand yourself. But you said it correctly, like it's protection. It's it's easier. It's just the easy way. It's like the path of least resistance. If you have a lot of social friction with other people, you have to find out why. You have to see those triggers, as you said, and understand and be able to change this and be able to transform these things. I totally agree with you there. It's like a Stoic said, your circumstances, they don't break you, but they show you the person you really are, right? And the circumstances are social, or they're in your job. They don't break you, but they actually show you who you are and make you understand what you need to work on. Exactly. So I'm totally with you on that one. There's many social triggers that I still have, and they're coming from within me. That's why I'm still looking for I'm still looking for change, or for healing, you know, for becoming better, for growth. So that was very insightful. I want to know, like, if you could put like a percentage on how much time to invest in yourself by yourself, or just to invest in yourself, and how much time to invest in relationships, what percentage would you put?
Now it depends. It depends on each one of us, right? It depends. I cannot say exactly, you know, this is a rule of 20, 80. Absolutely not, because this is down to everyone experience, you know, and each experience, and even the level of trauma that they had, right, from past relationships, right? And the circumstances are different, right? So I cannot say, but definitely it's a bigger percentage where we need to interact with other people. Definitely, that's huge, and that's more important than to isolate ourselves, just because we were born, right, with this need to belong. We belong, right? And we belong to groups, we belong to community, right? If we isolate ourselves, right, then it's kind of, we go against our nature, right? So we can only stay there just to understand our emotions, right? To grieve and to have that understanding, that foundation where we are. I'm here. Okay. Now what do I want to do? Okay, I want to change something in my life. And how do I do that? And even when, imagine when we want to do some change and to have some changes, right? We reach out to someone else to help us, right? And then that is also a relationship, even if it's professional one, right? It's still a relationship that you have with another person, right? If you reach out to your family members, okay, I'm going through a hard time now, right? Can we talk a little bit? Or I want just to open up. That it's also a relationship with them, right? Now, if we want to just simply isolate from everyone, right, there is no growth. If we don't open up to family members, let's say to friends, there cannot be growth, right? Because it's against our nature, right? So we can stay with our emotions for so short period of time, but because we feel better when we share, right? And we do this with others, then it's definitely so important to, to put more emphasis on relationships. To stay alone, no.
Yeah.
Also because we can be alone each time or every time we want, even when we are in relationships with others, because we can always meditate, right? We can always meditate. We can always have the time for ourselves, right? Which is so necessary in each relationship we have with family, with a spouse or romantic partner, right? We need to have that boundary of having the time for ourselves, right? And then we can actually connect with who we are and stay alone. If we need that 1 hour per day, let's say, right? Or 2 hours or so, to connect with ourselves, to understand ourselves, to stay with our emotions, to meditate, right? And just to do things for ourselves, to be alone, that is something so necessary, and it's crucial to include, right, in our everyday time, the time for ourselves. And the rest, we go to work, we have interactions, and then we grow from there with interactions.
Yeah, I agree with you. The interactions are the biggest source of growth, but I do believe you can grow spiritually, philosophically by yourself as well. You can grow internally as well, find maybe inner wisdom, find truth in yourself, find your actual attractions. So you can definitely expand the mind by yourself, but you can't really grow in many situations that occur in life. Everything, work situations, social situations, and that's most of our lives. So I agree with you on that. I agree with you in that sense. I'm sure you took therapies before to heal yourself. What was the most impactful therapy for you when you started on this journey of healing?
So yes, indeed, I went through more types of therapies, and I found them powerful. Really, I found them powerful. And the most impactful was hypnotherapy for me. And it was this method, RTT, rapid transformational therapy, because it was rapid. That's why it was, for me, it has so much impact, because it was rapid. It helped me release the old one and then install a new one, right? That will be so beneficial for me. And that's why I even wanted to study, just because I saw the benefits on myself. And I was, wow, I was amazed, So I had to study, because I really thought that if it helps me so much, right? Imagine how many other women, how many other people are in my situation, and how many lives I can change, and impact by sharing this, what I know. It was something that I felt it, that I have to share it, because it's so, so powerful. And for me, hypnotherapy and RTT hypnotherapy, because this therapy actually includes more types of therapy, right? So rapid transformational therapy, it's not only hypnotherapy, right? It's also psychotherapy. So it's a therapy of talk, right? You talk and you have some understanding, and then you go and you work with the subconscious mind, right? And also includes neuroplasticity, which helps, like you said earlier and described, create new circuits in our brain, right? That fires up, right? And new neurons, and then new wiring it's created, right? So it's that powerful. And then it's also CBT, it's about behavior therapy also, right? So it's more types of therapy combined that make it so powerful. So for me, rapid transformational therapy, it's been the most transformative, and that's why uh, I share it, and that's why I work with my clients, because I believe it, because I've tried it, because I've seen the transformation, and the impact that it had in my life, and it had also on my son, which is, he's very, very young, right? But he also had sessions, right? And his life is changing. And I think that for me, being able actually to do this also for him, it's so rewarding, because I know that he will grow up in a more healthy emotional adult, right?
Mhm.
Because of this therapy. So I had it first. I was able also to transmit it to him, and also to work with him, and other therapists also work with him exactly on this technique, right? Before I was certified, and before I could also help him myself. So it's
Yeah.
so powerful. It's amazing.
Yeah. Let me book a session with you. I'm going to book a
Okay.
session with you. I want to try this. Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do. I want to try RTT. Um, before the therapies, before you did any therapies, what were like the biggest lessons in your life that you had before the therapies? Maybe you can name 2 or 3 lessons that you got from life.
Well, I had a few lessons, yes, but now I see them, differently. So what I used to believe, it was that I cannot trust people. So each time when I went in a situation where I was hurt by people, maybe my trust was broken. I trusted someone and they betray me. Let's say even girlfriends, right? I put my trust so much in them, and that happened in repetitive times, right? Then my trust was broken. I could not rely on them. So I had this belief that, and this actually lesson, that I cannot trust people, right? And that created some kind of wall between me and people, and also that people are mean. So that was the lesson that I've had, right, before therapies, before understanding actually that it was not about people, it was about me, how I was relating to people, right? What were my thoughts relating to people? So those were my lessons, right? That people are bad, I cannot trust people, and also I had this lesson that I have to guard myself. I have to protect myself from people, right? So that was very, very important for me. And another one was that I don't have to show my feelings. So that was a lesson, because each time when I tried to open and to share my feelings, right, my feelings were hurt. So the lesson that I had was that no, I cannot just open up and share it, because then I will get hurt. So those were
Mm.
a few of my lessons, that life taught me based on my situations, based on also my experiences. And then
Yeah.
when I started to have therapy, things changed, because I understood things differently, from another point of view. And I had to go and dig inside me, to understand why my mind created those lessons.
So those are kind of the life lessons that you learned that kind of strengthened your negative beliefs that you had on the world. Uh, did you have any good lesson, any good life lesson before you started therapy, or did the therapies really like jumpstart your change into being a new person?
That's a very good question, because you see, uh, I thought that I was having the good life choices, So believing those things about people, actually, those were my good lessons. So in my mind, I thought that those are good lessons, right? But
Yeah.
actually, when I started to have therapy, I understood that none of those actually served me. So there was no life lesson that I will like, to carry into this new life, because simply I was in a negative and in a victim state of mind. So everything that my mind came up with, it was based on seeing things negative in a negative way, right? And my mind was completely on a victim state. So everything was happening to me. People were bad. I cannot trust people. I have to protect myself and guard myself because I don't want to be hurt, right? So all that created my mindset to be as a victim. Everything happened to me, right? I was not responsible for any of that. People made that to me, right? So there
Mm-hmm.
was no belief that actually I have now about myself that I had then. I had to change, and shift the way that I saw things then
Mm-hmm.
in order to have a different reality, right? And I had to see, uh, so I had to explore everything that I saw as a lesson, right? Then I had to explore, and then I had to reprogram that and change it based on my internal state. Why did I thought this about people? Why did I wanted to close myself and not share my emotions, right? What led me to think that this is the better way? Because definitely at that time I was thinking that that is the best way possible for me. That is the best lesson, to not show up, to not experience, to not share my emotions, right? And also to be perfect. So I thought that for me, to be seen as perfect in every single way. At my job, I had to be the best. Really, I had to be the best. And that was something that I believe that it's so beneficial for me. So I tapped full into that. I have to be the best, right? I have to be above others. So they will see me as the best. So I will count, I will be someone if I will be the best, right? So I was always in competition with others, and especially with women, and I was so proud of myself. Actually, my ego was so happy because if I'm in competition with someone, then I will win. I'm the best. I can do it. So this kind of confidence, actually, it was based on my negative mindset that I had to prove that I'm the good one. I'm the perfect one. So I can do it. But when I
Yeah.
understood and I work on myself, actually, uh, there was fear, fear uh, of showing and expressing and be vulnerable with who I was, fear of actually not being accepted as who I was, uh, as my real me, So there was this fear. So I had to project a perfect side of me so people will accept me, right? But when I started therapy, I understood that, well, I have to grow. I have to go through my demons. I have to go and understand, why do I need to project, this perfect side of me, right? Why do I hide inside, what I don't want to let people to see about myself, that it will make me feel so uncomfortable. And there are, so many things that I had to dig in. And yes, you see, now it's actually so easy for me to speak about it. Now it comes so natural, because
Mhm.
this is who I am. That was my journey, and this is my journey, right? And because of that journey, I am where I am today, to be able to speak about it, to be able to express how I feel, about myself. And when I am in a conversation with someone and for example, I don't agree with them, right? I always put the feeling and the emphasis on how that makes me feel. So I'm so comfortable with saying how I feel because it comes normal, right? But to get here, there was a process, right? For me, it
Yeah.
was impossible to do it in before I started therapy.
Yeah. you made it familiar. And I think this is like something I want to give to everyone, this message that don't base your goals on the person you are now. Base them, because you can be a totally different person in just a few months, in 1 year, in 3 years, and you can achieve totally something different, be on a totally higher level than you are now. So if we're talking about your past self, you would have never thought this is possible for you, but here you are. Now you're teaching people to have self-love and to have better relationships. So don't base your goals for the future on the person you are now, because you can keep growing, and if you insist, you will keep growing. And growth is actually our natural it's our natural direction. And what you've said before, I understand it so totally, because the ego, I also had this ego, and it's the kind of ego that is very strong, but that you feed. When you feed the ego, it becomes so empowering. You feel so powerful in a way when you feed this ego, right? You felt that. You said that before. You had this phase in your life where you were feeding your ego. Yes. And you would, what would you get back? You would get back this reinforcement, this empowerment, this feeling of I'm good, I'm big, I'm bigger than the other people, I'm better. I totally understand that, because I had this same issue. I had the same thing with my ego. And now it's rather like we are kind of, like we are beating our ego up. Our ego is having to be small now. I feel that with my life. And I think you are also just growing and becoming someone that you were, but that you weren't before, and that you never thought you could be. So your ego is also just suffering. Your ego is not doing well right now.
No, but also ego has also a role in our lives, right? So we cannot just take the ego out, because it's part of who we are, right? So ego, it's always there, but now it's up to us to understand, to not put the ego more, in a conscious way. So we have to balance that ego with conscious choices, because we cannot just, hide it at all, right? Because we need ego in different situations, right? We need also to have that, let's say, it gives us courage to do things, ambition. Right? So ambition, exactly. So we need the ego, but the measurement of how much do we need, right? We have to make it conscious. Okay, now I have to just balance a little bit. I have to, and the way of actually balancing the ego, it's seeing the things from the other person's perspective, because we cannot have a big ego alone, right? Absolutely not. Staying on the couch and just watching TV and Netflix. Oh, I'm feeling someone now. Absolutely. This is always in relation to someone, right? And if we want to kind of have better relationships and to have healthy relationships, because we can have all type of relationships, right? But if we want to have healthy ones, then it's always good for us to see the things from the other person's perspective, and that calms our ego down, right? And then we become equals, right? Because we are equals. We are the same like others. There is no one that is, above and so on. Our ego makes us believe that, I'm someone just because I know more or I have more experience, but actually we are equals, right? We are all the same with different experiences and different levels of growth based on our journey, right? And if we understand this, we are able to see things from the other person perspective, and then we connect, right? Because then we are open to what they have to say, right?
Yes, totally, totally. That was so insightful. Then we connect. Then we are, yeah, exactly. Then we're open. Uh, my ego is still sometimes wanting to say you're better. I can sense it. I hear my ego. I still sometimes believe that I'm better or want to believe that I'm better. But of course, I am aware of kind of the things. I'm aware of myself and try to reduce it. But as you said, and I think this is another important message, everything is balanced. Everything needs to be balanced, because you can't have too much of anything. Too much of the positive will not help you either, because you won't appreciate the positive anymore. Too much of the negative, we already know how that works out. I guess that's the reality for many people. And what you said as well, compassion. Compassion is being able to understand, or it's like seeing this other perspective and understanding everyone has their story, everyone has their
Exactly.
sufferings, their point of view. And if you can like rise, I don't want to say rise and become better, but rise to be the person that you can be, virtuous and compassionate and loving. I mean, imagine if everyone was able to do that. But if you can do that with someone that is not in a good place right now, I think you contribute so much to the world, and or to other people. I saw this Facebook post of yours. It said, "The more you shine your light, the more you contribute to transforming or transmuting the dark, or the kind of the darkness in the world." That was very powerful for me to see that. So yes, I think we got a lot of insight in what you do and who you are. Would you also say that the start of your journey was a lot of pain?
Absolutely, yes. It was a lot of pain just because it was not comfortable for me to go and actually face my demons, It was
Mhm.
not comfortable for me to go through situations that actually caused me to feel bad. So there was a lot of crying, There were a lot of
Yeah.
crying situations there. And with that came a lot of releasing, because with crying, I had so many traps emotions that I didn't allow them to feel, I had them kind of suppressed, and that caused me pain, and even pain at the physical body, because I had so much like pain in my stomach gathered all together as the type of nerves, and
Energy?
energy
Mhm.
exactly stuck, and
Mhm.
then obviously I had it in my throat, because I had so much difficulty to express my feelings, right? So
Mhm.
for me it was like I don't have to share it, so I'm not vulnerable. And then there was a
Mhm.
block in throat chakra, right?
Yeah.
And when I went through that, obviously there was a lot of pain, because I didn't say so many things that I wanted to say through all my life, you know, and to go back to those things actually and say it in hypnosis, because for me hypnosis was so powerful. Um, that was so liberating. That was, it just released that channel, to for the energy to flow and to connect with the other chakras. And actually, it become less painful, right? So it was painful when I start to work, because there was like trapped energy and blocked energy. And after that, look at me now. I'm speaking so much, right? So
Yeah,
yes.
totally. So I also had that with the kind of the closed fifth chakra, with the closed throat chakra, where you can't speak your truth. I wasn't able to speak my truth when I was young, when I was a child, when I was in my adolescence, even as an adult. And I understand. So this trapped energy, when you liberate it at the start, you have to overcome a lot of like a lot of preconceived notions and beliefs. And first, you don't want to sometimes, and so there's a lot of pain as well.
You don't want to
So
just because it's so painful. That's why you don't want, you
yeah,
know that if you go there, there is a lot of pain and you don't want to just because you feel it, right? And it's more
hmm,
comfortable to not go there. Why someone will go to something that causes them pain? But in order to actually feel better and in order to have a different reality, right? In order to have even better relationship and in order to be happier, right? Then we have to go through that pain, because that's why the sun only shines, right? Let's say uh, after a dark night, right? So in order to have the light, right, we have to go through the pain, because the pain has all the answers how to actually heal the pain. It's there to show us, so we have to go back to the pain, because even so, it's temporary. When you start to work on yourself and you go through that pain, it's not there forever, right? It's something that it will melt, and after that, it will become easy, and it will you will shine, right? You will access that inner light that it's inside, right? But we have to go through that pain, temporary pain, and release it in order to connect
exactly.
to the sun that we have inside.
Yeah. And when you release it, you just get like, there's people that only want to have the positive attitude and they want to go through life like that. But I just believe you make it so much easier for yourself. You can, the potential of flow in your life is so much bigger when you're able to release the pain. Um, but what I want to know is, I guess, the reason why you went through that is because of the pain you felt of being the person you were.
Yes, yes, definitely. I think that if more situations, didn't happen to me, I will not be the person that I am today, because simply I will not understand, maybe, right? I will not have that capacity and ability uh, to even balance, what is real good in my life, right? And why it feels so good, just because I know how it feels to experience a different reality, right? I know how it feels to not express my feelings, to not have a voice, to just only sit and being afraid of being judged, so I didn't go out, like exposing myself because of this fear that maybe people will judge me. So I know that. And just because I know that, I can appreciate now, today, my life based on those experiences, right? And probably if I wouldn't, I would be like in this fake positivity. Oh, it's everything happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. But why I'm happy, right? Why is the reason that I'm happy? How can I appreciate, this life? And what makes me feel so grateful for the life that I have now, as being so full and in touch with myself and so compassionate and accepting. Why? Because of that, right? Because of my life and with my experiences. So that actually it creates my whole personality, and um, my whole unique experience here, right? And because I accept it as being who Graziella Petti is, that's why it's so beautiful, right? And I accept it.
Totally. Yes, you're speaking the truth right now. So I want to thank you for shining the light, for make I mean for making what you uh, felt was what you wanted to do, for making that come true, and for helping now other people. And I would just want to give you any last words. anything maybe you want to share before we finish?
Yes, I want to share with our audience that I have a program that I will start in the middle of November now, and it's based on a group of people who really want to grow, and to go and access their inner light. And it's only, it's only available to a small amount of people, because I want to make it so, as a community, so warm and safe and secure, right? Because this is for people who really want to go through their pain in order to grow and to, to be happy and to connect and to have better relationships. So this program is for everyone, of course, who has this deep and clear motivation to work on themselves, so they can love themselves, so they can have better relationships with their either loved ones, spouse, romantic relationships, children, family. Because you see, once that you work on yourself, right, then you're able to allow other people around you also to be themselves. So if you connect with yourself and you can allow yourself to be compassionate and to accept yourself, then you allow also other people around you. And in this way, you create connection, and in this way, you create vulnerability and interactions, right? So this program, it's gonna be for 8 weeks. I will have 6 sessions, one-to-one, exactly like I'm having this session with you. So in 8 weeks, 6 sessions, one-to-one, right, directly with me, and also 8 master classes based on so much value relating to self-love and to relationships, right? What means to have a healthy relationships, how we can connect from our point of view, from their point of view, how to communicate consciously, and also how to program our mind for new beliefs. So all this, it's in this intense program, right, for 8 weeks. And definitely it's so much value, and it's also transformative. And there will be also a workbook to hold you accountable, right? What is that you do, so you can track your progress, right, from one week to another. So it's going to be this workbook. And also for the group, we will have a WhatsApp group, right, to share ideas, maybe to express, a different point of view, and actually listen to different perspectives, so we can grow together. So I'm so excited about this program, because it's going to be so transformative. And all places are open to be also registered. So you will find the link on my Facebook, right? The link will be there. And please book a call with me, so I will see, right, what is your motivation, so what are your goals for this program, so we can see if you are a fit for this program, because it's for those people who really want to make a change in their life, right? And so they can change the other people's life around them, right? Because we can impact our environment. And definitely after that call, we decide if we work together or not. So please contact me there. I'm here for you, and with so much love. Thank you so much for watching. And also thank you so much, Simon, for inviting me on your podcast.
Thank you for being here. Can we post a link in the description as well?
Yes, of course, we can.
All right.